Welcome, fellow students and activists, to today's Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into Bell Hook's brilliant book, Outlaw Culture, using it as our ultimate roadmap to decolonize the mind. If you're studying intersectional justice, Hooks offers us this incredibly profound framework for reclaiming our narrative sovereignty. We're going to explore the architecture of what we can call the Citadel, those intersecting systems of domination we live under, and we'll discover exactly how the margins form this powerful, wild space of resistance. Here is our roadmap for today. 1. Entering the red door. 2. The capture of icons. 3. Decolonizing the collective mind. And finally, 4. Love as sovereign medicine. All right, let's jump right into section 1, entering the red door.
You know, this stark red cover isn't just a bold design choice. It actually mirrors this beautiful, powerful story Hooks shares about building a literal red door in her own home, a dedicated, safe space for children to gather. We live in a society plagued by what we can call the Gutenberg Glitch, which is basically a mechanism of systemic erasure that constantly silences marginalized voices. But this red door, it became an invitation to the open mind. As activists, Hooks teaches us that this, right here, is the absolute heartbeat of cultural revolution, teaching the next generation to actively challenge the citadel of domination.
Quoting the filmmaker and theorist Trinh T. Minh Ha, Hooks explains how the color red symbolizes both a psychological opening and the burning, urgent fire of resistance. I mean, this red is literally the lifeblood of the wilderness, the resistance of the margins pushing back against the citadel. For Hooks, this really frames the absolute necessity of uniting the theory we learn in the classroom with the gritty, everyday reality of life outside it. Cultural criticism can't just be academic. It has to be a visceral, interdisciplinary practice that actually changes how we live and breathe. Moving right along, let's get into section 2, the capture of icons. Think about how mainstream media consistently captures and completely neutralizes the rebel archetype. Notice how Hooks contrasts Madonna's early, genuinely subversive and radical risk-taking with her later book, Sex. Hooks, alongside her sharp critiques of figures like Katie Roiff, argues that Madonna basically traded her radical edge for commodified hedonism. Instead of staying a trickster who challenges the status quo, she exploited taboo imagery to serve a really conventional, heterosexist gaze. So ultimately, she ended up securing patriarchal power rather than actually dismantling it. Now, when looking at the wilderness pantheon, Hooks positions the legendary artist Jean-Michel Basquiat as the sacred leper, the bearer of deeply uncomfortable truths. His dripping red paint and those haunting skeletal figures offer this profound critique of Western imperialism and the colonization of the Black body. Yet at the same time, they mourn the really terrible tragedy of complicity within white art spaces. His work exposes how stepping into the citadel inevitably leads to a dehumanizing kind of self-objectification. To be recognized by the white art establishment, Basquiat was basically forced to journey into the heart of whiteness, acting almost like an explorer in reverse. This was the heavy sacrifice demanded by the citadel. His art became a ritual of both fierce resistance, literally stripping away surfaces to reveal the violent erasure of his people, and immense, painful personal mutilation. He was heavily pressured to assume a version of blackness that was defined entirely by the colonizer's imagination, an extraction that his paintings unsparingly interrogate. Similarly, Hooks turns her critical eye to Spike Lee's film Malcolm X. She argues that the film negotiates this safe middle ground just for crossover financial success. Basically, to appeal to a predominantly white audience, Lee took Malcolm's radical anti-capitalist politics and turns them into a safe, commodified Hollywood spectacle. And this spectacle is a technology of the Citadel, specifically designed to erase the actual, very real threat Malcolm X posed. By repackaging revolution as a sort of neo-minstrel show, the film tragically denies the deep, visceral reality of Black pain and struggle. All right, let's shift gears to section 3. Decolonizing the collective mind. White supremacist capitalist patriarchy. It's a big term, right? But Hooks uses it deliberately to describe the architecture of the New World Order. These aren't just abstract academic concepts we throw around in seminars. They dictate exactly whose voices are heard and whose bodies get commodified. The impact of these patriarchal structures on marginalized communities is incredibly visceral, creating a tight matrix of racial, economic, and male gender domination. Naming this structure and really understanding how these systems overlap is our absolute first crucial step toward decolonizing the collective mind. Take the myth of Christopher Columbus, for example. It provides the cultural capital needed to sustain this modern domination. For marginalized communities, this kind of imagery evokes deep, lingering rage, because it's essentially a symbolic reenactment of a colonizing ritual. Hooks insists that we have to become the unquiet ghosts, the relentless disruptors of this master script. We have to actively subvert these patriotic icons to reclaim our true historical narrative and fundamentally transform the nation's memory. But here's the catch. We also have to remain critically vigilant about ourselves to ensure that we aren't perpetuating internalized racism. Hooks warns us that it's not just the oppressor we have to watch out for. We have to make sure that our own actions, our own media representations, and our own daily habits of being aren't secretly maintaining the Citadel's racist aesthetics. Internalized racism is systematically taught to us, which is why Hooks urges us to make radical self-love absolutely central to any political agenda. As a defense mechanism against these daily wounds, marginalized groups so often use assimilation as a protective mask. It's a tragic camouflage, really. It's a way of saying, hey, maybe I can ward off this evil by just becoming it. But by mimicking the colonizer's behavior, we are keeping the structures of domination securely in place. Instead, Hooks argues that we must embrace the outsider archetype, reclaiming our interpretive power right from the margins to find true, uncompromised freedom. And that brings us to our final part, Section 4, Love as Sovereign Medicine. This is a tough truth to swallow, but if you fight racial domination while enthusiastically embracing sexism, or if you fight patriarchy but totally ignore classism, you are acting in complicity with the matrix of oppression. Hooks observes that we often fight fiercely against the specific oppression that hurts us directly, while happily supporting another one that benefits us. True revolution, it requires completely surrendering our participation in whatever sphere of domination we personally happen to enjoy. It requires holistic, unwavering love. So how do we get there? Here is Hooks' practical roadmap, the technologies of sovereignty. First, we have to become the heretic, critically interrogating our own locations and allegiances. Second, we must become the chimera, bravely confronting the profound pain of our complex, intersecting identities and shedding that internalized self-hatred. And finally, we must become the storyteller, extending ourselves through genuine service and compassion to write brand new narratives of liberation for ourselves and for others. Echoing Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Hooks reminds us that love is a deliberate act of will. It's the active practice of talking back, refusing to be silenced in the face of domination. Choosing love isn't just a warm, fuzzy feeling. It is an intention and a fierce action. It is quite literally the most profound weapon of insight we have, and it's the ethical foundation that is absolutely necessary to dismantle the Citadel and heal the web of life. As we wrap up this explainer, I really want you to ask yourself, how will you build the beloved community in your own daily life? How are you going to use your critical consciousness to reclaim your narrative sovereignty? It is time for us to challenge the Citadel, to fully embrace the wilderness, and to step confidently through our own red door. Keep seeking the truth, and whatever you do, keep talking back.